What up, YouTube? I am your host, Mediocre Tutorials and Reviews, back in here with yet one more video. Guys, we got a really interesting video for you guys today, so you're gonna want to watch this one. Stay tuned. Previous females, now male, explained life isn't better as a man, it's much harder. This video comes from Joker, who is on the channel Better Bachelor. I am not very familiar with his channel. It seems like he speaks from the perspective from a men's rights activist. I saw a component of this video as I was reviewing it. It was sent to me via my Patreon. Shout out to Michael Bennett on my Patreon. He sent me this one right here, and I thought it would be a very fantastic one to go through. You know, a lot of times on the channel when I have a guest sitting right here and we have like these very, let's say, politicized hot topics that we do, such as like men's rights, women's rights, feminism. And when I ask them questions about equality, is it really seeking equality? And their answers are always yes. And I often challenge that because I think that there's certain people within those factions that are not seeking equality, they are seeking superiority. And often when I bring up things such as the male homeless rate, when I bring up things such as the male suicide rate, when I bring up these very interesting facts that would disprove patriarchy, you often see a glazed look over their face because in their fight for their rights, oftentimes they don't understand how men can be left behind from the very system that they say is keeping them oppressed. I think the best people to judge both sides of the coin are those that make transitions from male to female or from female to male, because then that they can see from both perspectives and how they're being considered in society. So listen, I think this is going to be a very interesting video. I'm going to end up cutting it up because it's a very long video. So I'll leave a link down in the description box down below if you want to check out the entirety, but I suggest that you do because it's a very good video. I got to watch some more of this gentleman's content. I really like the positions that he has. So without further ado,
I usually put together some fun videos out there, but this week I've been trying to do a little bit more serious stuff just because, you know, it's important that we talk about kind of guys stuff and men's issues. And it's always fun to poke fun of some of the articles that I come across that has women complaining about something or another. But this is an interesting story because I actually came across a thread in the men's rights forum on Reddit, and I don't spend much time there anymore, but this was a link, and I looked at the profile, and it's legit. It's not someone trolling or anything like that, and it's their experience after being taken a transition from being a woman to a man. It's their life as a man and what they've seen the difference is. And you know, it's the old expression is you've never known someone until you walk a mile in their shoes. And this is interesting because now it is a woman literally living life as a man and seeing what it's like. And they do say that there's a difference, and they're surprised how alone they feel in many cases and how outside they feel. These are stories from women that became men, and they found out, well, things are a little bit more complex. Let me get right down to where they start talking about it here. So this is from Tristan Cotton, and this is someone who's 50 now that did their transition. And they did it back in 2008, so about 10 years ago. So around the age of 40, this woman decided to become a guy. It says, life doesn't get easier as an African-American male. The way that police officers deal with me, the way that racism undermines my ability to feel safe in the world, affects my mobility, affects where I go. Other African-American and Latino Americans grew up as boys and were taught to deal with that at an earlier age. I had to learn from my black and brown brothers about how to stay alive in my new body and retain some dignity while being demeaned by the cops. Now, I don't know, let's see, they're in Berkeley, California. You know, and Berkeley is a very, very left-leaning, very liberal area, so I'm surprised.
it don't matter.
Shocking that they would be harassed and treated by, you know, cops poorly.
Happens
I think
everywhere.
that only would happen in the South or someplace that was truly bad. One night, somebody crashed a car into my neighbor's house. I called 911. I walked out to talk to the police officer. He pulls a weapon on me and says, stop, get on the ground. I turned around to see if there's someone behind me, and he says, you get on the ground. I'm in pajamas and barefoot. I get on the ground. He checks me, and afterwards I say, "What was that all about?" He says, "You were moving kind of funny." Later,
Just real quick, he said something very interesting there, and this is why I like to read as many articles as what I do, watch as many videos as what I like to, so you can see other people's perspectives from around the country, around the world. The writer is saying that as growing up into a 40-year-old woman had not been taught the things that a young boy was taught in having to deal with police. And I mean, I've talked about it on this channel before. The talk that I had with my pops back in the day, it was actually, I had two of them. I had one from my pops and one from my uncle. In my pops, it was more matter of fact. My uncle actually gave me instructions, right? Like step by step instructions on how to avoid these different situations. And what I took from that is, generally when I see them anywhere, I just avoid them. And here's the thing, like, I know more often than not, cops are just human beings like you and I. And at the end of the day, they just want to be able to go home. You understand what I'm saying? They want to just be able to go home. But there's some of them that do have unconscious biases. And a lot of those unconscious biases can actually be from the same race. We don't talk about that a lot as well. Although I knew all of this, I still would stay away from them as much as what I could. And also I knew too, if they pull you over, hands 10 and 2, and then call out any of the things that you're doing in the vehicle so that they know and they feel more comfortable. Even if it's something that your white counterparts don't have to do, it's something that I'll do in order to protect myself. But think about how crazy this is. Someone crashed into this person's house who is now transitioned to a man. They have come out the house. Cop was there and said, stop, get on the ground. No matter what, if I see things happening, someone crashes into my house, I see cops coming with guns drawn, even if it's my house, I'm standing outside that house, you know what I'm saying? I'm waiting till they come in and knock on my door because I don't want to be seen as an assailant in there. And it reduces my risk if I don't come out the house unexpected and I see kind of what's going on. But let's just move on real quick. I wanted to comment on that.
people told me, "Man, you're crazy. You never call the police." I get pulled over a lot more now. I get pulled over more in the first 2 years after my transition than I did the entire 20 years I was driving as a woman before that.
Wow, is that the dude? Hold on, let's make that just a little bit larger, just for the sake of the video. That looks like a dude. That isn't. He went complete. Look at the tats. he went completely, dude. But that's crazy. I would never think that he used to be a she. That is incredible. That's incredible. Yo, the medicine and the surgery today is, you know what I mean? It's incredible. All right, let me refix this and let's get back.
Before, when I'd been stopped even for real life violations like driving 100 miles an hour, I got off. In fact, when it happened in Atlanta, the officer and I got into a great conversation about the Braves. Now the first two questions they ask are, "Do you have any weapons in the car?" and "Am I on parole or probation?" And this is a picture of him here, and you can see he's gone bald and he's got the full body tats. A couple years after my transition, I had a grad student I'd been mentoring. She started coming on to me, stalking me, sending me emails and text. "Oh, but I thought only men did that to women." Nope. It couldn't be that a female student would do that to a male professor.
Happens to me now, my DMs.
My advisor and then dean, both women, laughed it off. It went on for the better part of a year, and that was the year I was going up for tenure. It was a very scary time. I felt worried that if the student felt that I was not returning her attentions, she would claim that I had done bad things to her. I felt like, as a guy, I was not taken seriously. I had experienced being harassed as a female person at another university, and they had reacted immediately, sending an escort with me to and from campus. I felt like I had still been in my old body. I would have gotten a lot more support. Let me move on to another story here. This is Xander Keeg, 52.
Just real quick, I think he's about to get into another story. What he's highlighting is the difference between how male issues are treated versus female issues are treated. And honestly, so like when I have like these discussions and I ask the person sitting right next to me, I'm just like, if there's a feminist movement, why don't you think that there should be a manist movement or a masculinist movement, masculist movement as well? And the response that I often get is, but y'all don't have any issues, okay? And as I stated earlier, no, there are issues as well, from a sexual health perspective, from a suicide rate, from a PTSD, being veterans, what have you, homelessness. There's a lot of things that should be more male focused, but a lot of those issues are never talked about. Even in our media, I posted a meme not too long ago that showed an overweight woman and an underweight man, and the what was placed as the tagline underneath the social media post from an Instagram account that gets like hundreds of thousands of likes on videos is that she's a plus size woman. Meanwhile, an overweight man is always an overweight man. He is never a plus size man. You understand what I'm saying? So even in our media, men are often more treated as cannon fodder, as if issues don't matter, or we can talk to you the way that we want to, irrespective of your particular feelings in the situations. And don't get me started about sharing your feelings in the situations as well, and how that can be used against you. You see what I'm saying? Which is why, I think that it is important and incumbent on each and every one of us as dudes to do what you can to take your mental health breaks, to get help, right? If you have more negative feelings or attributing more negative emotions within your life, you have to be proactive about changing that, whether that's a visit to your doctor or a visit to a therapist. The resources are there, but far too often we wait until it's too late, and then our anger comes out in other violent ways, both to ourselves and to others. Let's move on.
Did the switch in 2005, so about 13 years ago, put him right around 40 years old again. He says, I feel it now feels as though I'm on my own. Coast Guard veteran, works at Naval Medical Center. He says, prior to my transition, I was an outspoken radical feminist. I spoke up often, loudly, and with confidence. I was encouraged to speak up. I was given awards for my efforts, literally. It was like, oh yeah, speak up, speak out. When I speak up now, I am often given the direct or indirect message that I am mansplaining, taking up too much space, or asserting my white male heterosexual privilege. Never mind that I'm a first-generation Mexican-American, as a transitioned man and married to the same woman I was with prior to my transition. This is important because it shows you that here, before, she was a very proud supporter of women's movement, a very proud supporter of women's issues. Then, becoming a man, he still wanted to support all these issues, still wanted to support these things, and they basically told him to shut up. You don't know what it's like. But he did know what it was like, or at least he used to know what it was like. And he's Latino, a Mexican-American, and now they basically told him, shut up, white boy.
That's crazy. It's crazy to see like this, but it makes complete and utter sense. It's almost as if you can only talk about some issues depending upon your skin color, depending upon the race that you are, right? Depending upon your ethnic background, depending upon your gender. It's like you have to fit a certain stereotype for it to be admissible, right? To talk about these very things. And if you are not in that very stereotype, then we can't have a conversation about it. And I think now is a time that everybody should have a particular voice. And I don't care how ignorant it is, what we've seen is the amount of healing that can be done if there are people that don't look like you that can have a voice and ask questions about something. It's never in the best interest of a society to force people into an ideology, okay? Because what happens is that you get divisions, right? You get splits. Listen, I'm gonna stop the video right here because I think we're going on a little bit too long. With that being said, this is fantastic content. Joker, I appreciate your content if you ever see this, my friend. We got to keep on talking about things like this. I think that it's important, okay? I think that, the positions of a platform, you know, whether it be Joker on Better Bachelor or mine on this channel, I think we have the opportunity to provide a voice to those that have been previously voiceless, irrespective of your ethnic background. You know, I don't care what it is, but I think a lot of these issues people are suffering with, men are suffering with behind closed doors. You understand what I'm saying? And I see that in my comment section. I see that during the live chats. I see that when I do videos that talked about the red pill rage that I used to have. And then I see that in the videos where I talk about how I use that red pill rage in order to form the best years of my life. Really and truly, really and truly. But I had help during all of that. You understand what I'm saying? There's those that don't have access to that, and there's not much that they feel like they can do, okay? But keep watching the videos, keep subscribed to the channel, click those alert buttons so we can continue these conversations. Very interesting contact. I appreciate it. You understand what I'm saying? Questions, comments, concerns, y'all already know what to do. Mediocre tutorials and reviews at gmail.com. I got a Patreon as well. That's the inner circle. Link down in the description box down below. Until next time, YouTube. Peace.